TIFU by using public bathrooms the wrong way for 18 years. So as the title suggests, I've been using bathrooms wrong. For as long as I can remember, whenever my mom and I would go to the bathroom in public, she'd tell me how things were done, because she's a borderline germaphobe. One such lesson involved flashing toilets. You know how there's usually a lever you need to push in order to flush? I was told to use my foot to push it, thus preventing any unnecessary touching. I've done this in every single public bathroom I've ever been to. Fast forward to a couple of months ago. My friend was talking about flushing a toilet at school. I don't remember the context, and she said she touched it with her hands. I pulled a face and asked why. Then it was her turn to be confused, and she said, "Because that's how you're supposed to flush it?" She then proceeded to ask me how I flush, and I said, "By using my foot." I was completely flabbergasted that she would use her hand, and she was baffled and appalled that I'd been essentially kicking toilets for my whole life. Suffice it to say, she gave me massive shit for that, and now my past actions haunt me every time I think of using a public restroom.
Story 2. TIFU by eating raw chicken for months.
Every weekend I would eat a big bowl of fried chicken that I cook in my air fryer. I would always set my air fryer to cook for 10 minutes, and it was always enough to properly cook the chicken. A few months ago I decided to get a new air fryer as my old one was playing up, and for around 2 months I would put my chicken in for 10 minutes, take it out and eat it. The thinner corners were cooked to perfection, but one day I made a chicken sandwich and cut it in half, and to my horror the inside was raw. I thought that was a one-time incident, and went back to eating it every weekend like normal, and for some stupid reason, I decided that there was no need to check if the chicken was raw, because the first time was obvious, just a fluke. Then one day I had the tremendous idea that no, I really should check if it is raw, and to my surprise it was raw this time too. I believe I didn't set the temperature on my new air fryer, and that's why the chicken wasn't cooked. I also now believe that the reason for my weekly diarrhea was due to eating raw chicken. But I'm surprised that I never got bad food poisoning. Story 3. TIFU by sending my wife to check if a Powerball ticket was a winner. So this happened a few days ago. I have a long-standing habit of buying a lottery ticket for the Powerball, or Megaball ECT, whenever it gets over 300 million. It's overall a very small amount per year, and it's just a small investment in fun times from my point of view. Recently the prize was slowly creeping up due to no winners multiple weeks in a row. The prize gets rolled over if there is no winner. It was over $1 billion last week, and I bought a ticket like usual. But I got too busy to take it in to check the numbers. Here's where I screwed up. I decided to give the ticket to my wife to check. Now she is a sweet lady who has never gambled anything, so she was not familiar with the process. I sent her to a local supermarket with a machine, explained how to scan the card, and sent her on her merry way. A little while later I get a strange text basically saying, "You better be sitting down," and then a text saying something to the effect of, "I'm never coming back to this store again." Later I got the full story. She scanned the ticket correctly, and the machine announced that she was a winner. A full screen graphic and giant words, "The works." She freaked out at the prospect of becoming billionaires. She does not know how much is shaved off for taxes, but that's a different story. Attracting attention in the store. After hyperventilating for a minute or two, she saw that the machine stated to proceed to a checkout counter. She walks over and found out that she won $2. She was not aware that if you get one number or sum in the right place, you can win your money back. Anyways, after landing back on Earth abruptly, she left the store mortified at her reaction to winning $2, and now we need to find somewhere else to shop, lol. Story 4. TIFU by helping a homeless woman. This one is fresh, so it still stings. Early this morning I woke up to discover we were out of milk. Desperately needing a coffee, I jumped in the car and scooted off to the local grocer. Now, I live in a relatively well-to-do suburb, but since COVID we have had a few less fortunates move into the area. I parked my car and headed inside. As I stumbled through the aisles toward the milk fridges, I saw a homeless woman. Barefoot, disheveled hair, baggy shirt, red eyes. I grabbed a bottle of milk and stumbled my way to the counter. As I was checking out, the homeless lady got in line behind me. Times are tough, and I had this sudden desire to help this poor lady. So as I was leaving, I pulled out a $20, held it out to her, and said, "Things will get better." She blinked in surprise and just stared at me. Then suddenly she bursts out laughing. I'm left standing there feeling rather confused, still holding $20 out for her to take. "I'm not homeless," she says between cackles. "I'm a mother." Suddenly at the next checkout, another woman bursts into fits of laughter. We both look over and there's another woman. Baggy shirt, messy hair. She gestures to her disheveled state and says, "Same." There is this momentary pause before both clerks and the two ladies all burst into fits of laughter. My face has never been redder. I was so incredibly embarrassed. I don't even know what I said to them, but mumbled some apology and hurried out of there. I got into my car, feeling like a total idiot, and saw them both still cracking up and talking to each other as they left the store. I started up the car and began reversing just as the homeless woman got in her massive, expensive VW SUV. I don't know cars, but I know it was a fancy car. Safe to say, I think I will not be making that assumption again. Story 5. TIFU by ruining my friend's new relationship. My good friend Amy is a widow. She's been trying to date again the last few years, but so far all of the guys have been really toxic, including an alcoholic who would use her to pay his way and crashed her brand new car while she was at work. So when she started dating John, she told me she was on edge and afraid that he was going to be like the last couple guys. I didn't realize my husband knew John. My husband works in an office that specializes in certain companies complying with the government regulations on that type of business. John works in IT and has a contract with my husband's office and is usually the one who comes to fix issues, although there are a couple other IT guys. My husband has made small chat with John, but nothing past surface level. My husband and I went out on a date night and saw Amy and John. She waved us over, and John recognized my husband. It seemed like their relationship was going to be great, and we were looking to having another friend couple. Most of our friends are single. We went on a double date and it went well. They seemed to like each other a lot. But Amy told me that he said he was divorced and that he said he wasn't ready to talk about it. She felt like this was the big red flag she was missing, the other shoe dropping. I told my husband, and he said he didn't know any details. A few days later, my husband calls me at work. He told me that John came in. They were chatting a bit, and he noticed John was wearing a wedding ring. I said I had to tell Amy. He agreed. She didn't take it well. She had been building up anxiety about his past and his inability to talk about it, so she assumed, we all did, he must be lying and not divorced, but still married. She confronted him and really flipped out. She gave him a verbal lashing that she definitely regrets, especially because we were wrong. A couple years ago, John was married, but she didn't want children and she wanted to move far away. They decided that they weren't compatible even though they loved each other. They filed for divorce, and then a few days later, she was killed by a drunk driver. The divorce wasn't finalized, so John was responsible for the estate and funeral and organ donation. He did what she would have wanted, and tried to grieve but felt guilty because they were in the process of getting divorced. So he didn't consider himself a widower. Because she had blown up instead of asking him, he said he needed space and ended up blocking her. She felt justified because he wouldn't tell her, but wearing his ring meant he wasn't over it. But now she's upset and has been very awkward towards me and my husband. We feel guilty for meddling.